Hi, my name is Mhlauli-Moses with Healthy Black Woman, and I'm here with my good friend Shaquita Graham with Loving the Black Man and Atechco.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
I'm doing good, Noma. How are you?
Very, very well. The topic of our segment today is an article that I saw at healthyblackwoman.com that talks about Mike Epps and the title is Why Mike Epps gave his wife a surprise divorce. Just a few things that the article says. His wife says he surprised her with a divorce by filing for a divorce. And this is after 10 years of marriage. And I just want to read a little bit of the article. Apparently she ran into TMZ at the airport and she opened up about her bumpy relationship with Epps. Almost like she was having a conversation with a friend. During the session, her name is Michelle. She said she wasn't aware that her husband had filed for a divorce and disclosed that she was shocked to learn of the news from the media. According to Michelle, she wasn't even aware that they'd separated, and she says they'd been living like every other married couple up until January. She disclosed that everything seemed normal until after Christmas when she saw him walking down the streets of New York with a mysterious girl, and that was the turning point for her. She also admits that, things haven't been rosy in the relationship. She says that regardless, she has done her best to be a loyal wife. So what's your reaction? A man is married to a woman for 10 years. And decides to surprise her with a divorce.
Well, first of all, of course, it's hard for me to say anything about people who I don't know what their marriage is like. But I do find it hard to believe that she is saying that everything was going on as usual and she did not notice this. And I think her comment saying that I was a loyal wife and I got burned, is debatable because I've been through marital issues. I've seen other people go through marital issues, and everybody is saying it wasn't my fault. But it's always the two have something to do. Yeah, both of them have something to do with the marriage crumbling. And the fact that she's saying she had no idea they were in this type of trouble is saying that there was a major issue.
Right. What I thought was interesting was last year there was a story that was going across a lot of the blogs. And what I remember about the story was that apparently her husband, Mike Epps, was having a conversation with a girl on Twitter or some other social media platform, and he appeared to be hitting on the woman. And his wife actually came and joined the conversation and kind of said, hey, excuse me, what are you doing? So she humiliated him in open space. And of course, we don't know what happened after that, but I'm willing to bet that was part of what was the undoing of, unfortunately, of this marriage. And to me, this doesn't surprise me too much. This is a Hollywood type marriage. And you and I always talk about the fact that what they do and what we do as normal people in our households, our marriages and our lives tends to be much more different. But I still think what's troubling to me is just this ongoing devaluation and deterioration of marriage. I would think that, I've been married for 11 years. You've been married for 13 years. And I think you can agree that, that person becomes a major part of your life, a really good friend. And it's hard to believe that your best friend would be somewhere filing for a divorce and you wouldn't know about it. It's hard to believe, I think so. But if you look at it in terms of people who don't see marriage as something that is that valuable, then maybe for them it's possible to do that. And it also asks the question of, do we really know who Mike Epps is? Why are we assuming that just because we've seen him in movies and shows and things like that, that means he's a great guy? Who wouldn't make a jerk move like that? Why do we assume that? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And then the other thing is, TV psychologist Dr. Phil always says, no matter how thin you slice a pancake, just like you kind of alluded to, it always has two sides. So this is what she's saying. So, she could be some crazy woman that he's just doing his best to get away from, and we don't know. What do you think?
Well, like you said, you wouldn't think certain things would happen in a relationship that was so strong at one point. But, the saying is there's a thin line between love and hate. I hate to see people, lose their marriage, because it's very devastating and it's very sad when those relationships end. And the only thing I can say to people who are in that scenario is, try to see if there's a way that you can treasure your marriage enough to make it work, if you both care enough about it. And it takes a lot of focus to keep a marriage together. And the thing is that two people, like, we see wars all around the world. We see races people of different ethnicities can't get along. People of different social standings can't get along. So it's hard for a man and a woman to be able to consistently stay in this very strong relationship and not let anything come in between it, even money, even fame, all of these things. So it does take a lot of focus, and you do have to transform as an individual. I saw a comment before where someone says, why do married women seem like they have a one-up on single women or something like that? And I just thought to myself, it's not, it might come across as a one-up, but it's really pride in the fact that you were able to transform yourself in this relationship and get to a place of cooperation with another human being to live in peace and harmony with them. And that is a tall, tall order. So At the bottom line, I think it's sad, but I hope, other people can, find strength in a time like this.
Right.
In their own marriage.
And the thing about it is, it's not a one-up, just to piggyback on what you were saying, but I think that every person who's been married any amount of time can tell you that it's not easy. So some of us do feel like, whoa, man, in spite of everything that's been thrown at me or at us or has been designed to tear us apart, we fought through and we're still standing, we're still strong, and we still have something good. So it's not a matter of a one-up. It's just, as with any other accomplishment, the day you walk across the stage and you get your bachelor's, master's, or PhD, and you think about everything that happened that could have stopped you from getting it, and you pulled through and you pushed through and you still made it, you have the right to take a moment and pat yourself on the back and say, I did it, and I'm still doing it. And the thing with marriage is, it's not a one-time accomplishment. It's an accomplishment every single day that you wake up and it feels good and it's functional and it's peaceful and, your kids are in a good environment. So, I really did want to address that because I hear it a lot in many shapes or forms. Oh, she thinks that's an accomplishment. Actually, it's an ongoing accomplishment.
Because, even in the business realm or the employment realm, they would rather have people who are married a lot of times as business partners or as employees, because they know that that person has, someone has been able to put up with that person for long enough, for a long time. That may be an indicator of their character, because again, in order to get along with someone, you have to shed selfishness, you have to shed pride, you have to, get in a very humble state at times. You have to really be able to show love in the midst of disappointment. And a lot of times we can make it sound torturous and just like it's a very heavy burden, but it's very fulfilling as a human being to evolve with someone to that level, and be able to work as a team and actually build something enduring. When I see these pictures of family reunions, you have the grandmother and the grandfather, and then you have like 50 people behind them that wouldn't be here if those two people were not together. So those are the beautiful things. And at times when you want to get divorced, those are the times to really think through. And when your marriage is having difficulties, that's the time for you to go and reach out and find resources of strength to help you keep going.
Right. And to be fair, you and I have never been famous actors in Hollywood with millions of dollars that we don't know what to do with. So they're dealing with a whole nother level, So, we also don't know what the challenge that these people go through at all. And I saw one of the comments that she made was she said that his fame has gone to his head. And it may, who knows, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But the thing is, that's one extra thing that you kind of deal with. And one of the things that I hear about people who've been close to people who are extremely famous or, wealthy beyond their imagination is they do sometimes tend to have a sense of looking at people as disposable because they are. You can pay people to do things. You can pay them to come. You can pay them to go. And I'm not sure that that's a good thing necessarily when you've made a commitment, a lifetime commitment to somebody, to then get into that mindset that people will just come in and out of your life and you can just keep going. Not to say that we know that that's what happened, but I do know that a lot of people say that about people when they get to a certain level of fame and fortune and so forth. And to their defense too, is a lot of people will say that they lose touch with who they can trust and who's loyal and who's faithful, because people sometimes aren't faithful and loyal to the person. They're faithful and loyal to the money and the fame and the what have you. So the relationships lack trust, and they lack stability. So, I just want to acknowledge that they do deal with so much more than us, so quote unquote normal, ordinary people. And then again, just to reiterate, we don't know what he said yet. So the story may unravel some more. But I certainly thought it was an interesting story to discuss, because you and I, one thing we have in common is we really value marriage and family. And I personally believe that a lot of things that are wrong in the Black community are because of the deterioration of that one solid thing, which is family. And I think that if we stick to the values that family stays together, I think that can go a long way towards repairing our communities. What do you think?
I think you're right. And I think that a lot of things that you alluded to about people that are faced with issues like fame and money and things like that, it's all going to come back to a character issue. And, it's easy to sit here and say character this and character that. But when you're faced with a proposition, that's when the rubber meets the road about your character. When you have women, camping out at your hotel room, that is when the rubber meets the road with your character. When you know you don't love this man, but you're with him because he has a lot of money, again, the rubber is meeting the road with your character. So it's important for us when we're looking for a mate, a business partner, is to really be able to evaluate a person's character, which I love the quote that character is when a person can do wrong, but they choose to do right.
Absolutely.
And, even the best people are going to have a hard time with that at some point. But I've seen and been in arguments over a tax return check. So, you can imagine what they're dealing with all of this press, travel, all of this. So,
right.
I just hope they're able to work it out. And if not, I hope that, they find love in their life in some way in the future.
All right. On that note, we can close out our segment. I just want to remind our viewers that this is Shaquita Graham of lovingtheblackman.com and ateco.com. And this has been a segment of Your Black Women, where Black women keep it real. And I'm Mhlauli-Moses with Healthy Black Woman. Thank you for watching. And thank you, Shaquita.
Thank you.